Okay.
It seems to be inconsistent. Like sometimes it's fast.
Yeah, it has a lot to do with what's going on the internet as a whole, like how many people are going live, I feel like, at the same time. Same with Zoom. This is particularly long this morning.
It's particularly
Oh, it says I'm live on YouTube. I just got my notice. So I don't know if we're live on YouTube and not anywhere else yet, but
Oh,
let's see what happens.
we're live on Facebook too. Hello.
Oh, we're live now?
No.
Okay. Hello, everybody. If you saw our little banter before, my system actually told us we were going live. My apologies. The system was very slow today, telling us we were present and accounted for. So we are streaming live on LinkedIn and YouTube, my business Facebook page, and of course the Interior Design Business Forum. Welcome everyone who's watching, and welcome to my two guests today for Website Wednesday. You know Teresa of Web Designs by Teresa, and I hope you also know Robin from RDW Design Studio, both amazing web designers who I recommend all the time. And we wanted to do a little group discussion because, as Teresa reminded me, there's no such thing as competition. And I always run my business the same way. I refer some clients that I don't feel are a good fit for my coaching business to other coaches, and they do the same for me. And Teresa, you and Robin do the same thing also, correct?
Oh, absolutely. She's part of my inner circle. We meet every couple of weeks. If we have questions, we can reach out to each other. And it's nice having somebody else in the same line of work as that sounding board, for anything, whether it's technology or just doubts in business at the moment. So
Absolutely. It's like having a support system. Robin, how is it for you to have Teresa to bounce things off of also?
It is a wonderful gift. Being able to just message her, email her, pop on a Zoom with her, and, troubleshoot is amazing.
That's incredible. These are two web designers who I have never had a complaint about for anyone who's watching. So if you are struggling with your websites and you don't want to do it yourself, hello, below me are the two people you should be reaching out to, at least as a starting point. So let's get into our topic today, though, Teresa. What is the topic and why did we choose this?
So Robin and I wanted to come forward with 4 things that anyone can do to kind of get their website ready for the new year. So this isn't something that requires your web designer to dive in. Anybody can do this, and it's really just going to set you up for success and create that momentum to start 2023 off not stressing and worrying about your website.
Yes, because your website is something that you don't just put up and leave forever. There are things you're supposed to be doing.
It's always changing. And there's things that we don't realize how much our business shifts from one year to the next sometimes. And those shifts got to get reflected into the website. And so we're going to hopefully, that's the goal, is to help you capture those shifts, get them updated and changed, and get your website ready for 2023.
Okay. All right. Robin, why don't you start us off with the number one thing? We're going over 4 things today. What's the number one thing that people should do?
Sure. Number 1 is to update your date and numbers. One task you can do to prepare your website for the new year is to go through all of your website content and check all the places where you refer to dates or numbers, because most of them will need to be updated. And some common places where this may apply are: did you add any new team members this year? So if you had 2 team members in 2022 and you added on 2 more, now you have 4, you want to reference that on your website. Do you discuss how many years you've been in business? Now you're going to want to add one to where you put that, possibly on your about page. Has your pricing changed? If you refer to pricing on your website, which is a whole other discussion.
Exactly. Okay.
You'll want to make sure that you've updated your pricing if you've had any changes to that. Do you list out the number of clients that you work with? I'm sure that's gone up, so you're going to want to change that number. Are there any other statistics that you have on your website? You'll want to take a look through the content and see if any of those should be updated. And another really important number to think about is the copyright date in the footer of your website.
I was going to ask you about that if you didn't mention it. I'm like, does that, because Teresa did that for us. Do you have to do that every year? Does it have to be updated every year?
Every year. There's some code you can do so it automatically updates. But if you don't know how to do that, it's just going in manually and changing the date. And it's something that is really important to update because it signals to people that you're an active business. Like, think about the impression that you get when you visit a website and the copyright date says 2020. Like, it leaves an impression on you. It kind of makes you question things. And the best practice for the copyright date is actually a range of dates. And you want to start with your initial year in business and go up to the current year. And that means that you are really protecting all of the content on your website for all the years that you've been in business.
Interesting. Okay, I never knew you could do a range, but very important. And it's true. When you were naming the dates, I'm like, oh yeah, I think I might have some of that on my website, but of course I have Teresa to figure that out. But like, yeah, there's a lot that has to be done every year that we never even think about. And for me, I remember there being a blog, which I think we left up, but it was my history up till that point. And I thought, oh, it might be time to do another blog since the last blog, right? To bring my life and progress up to date for anyone who might be, interested. So hello, Betsy.
Hey,
all right. So that was good. Number one, update all your numbers on your website. If you're just tuning in now, go back and listen because Robin just gave you very specific places that you need to do. Check your website and update the numbers. All right, Teresa, what's number two?
All right, so now it's time to review and update your services. And this is one where a lot of times people will kind of be like, oh, they really haven't changed that much, but they have changed more than you realize. Even if you're really standard in what you're offering and you've been in business for quite a few years and you've kind of settled into that sweet spot, there are shifts and changes that your business have gone through in the past year, and they need to be reflected in those services. Because what happens when you don't go update your services and review and make sure that they're speaking for where you are today, it can create some really bad expectations with the clients that just don't fit with who you are today. It can create some boundary issues. And I mean, it just kind of starts things off in a bad place. I've had it happen to me before too, when somebody calls and says, oh, hey, I want this service. And I'm like, oh, but I don't offer that anymore because I had shifted and changed.
Yes.
So you want to sit down, review your services, read through them, and ask yourself, does this accurately represent what I do today? Like, really think about that and make sure that there's nothing in there that people can read into that's going to drive them in a different direction. Does it reflect the business that I want to attract? And that's really important.
Yes.
Because I've said this in our videos many times, your website's a vision board. It is a vision board for what you're creating and what you're building. And so you want to make sure your services are speaking to the people and the jobs you want to attract, not what you've done in the past necessarily.
Yes.
And then the last thing too, I would ask yourself is, what needs to change so that I am in alignment with where I am today and what I am creating in the future? You really want to be future focused in this and make sure those services reflect what you're wanting to move and grow into.
And I think this is super important, Teresa, also because the wording people use over a year's time, they've listened to me, you, Robin, podcasts, and they're like, oh, that's a good word. I should be in changing my website to attract that, and they forget to go in and update it on their website because it's like a little minor thing. But if once a year you have a kind of a record of what you want to update, then once or twice a year, you can go in and actually do it.
Yeah. And I make it a fun day with myself. I grab my iPad and go to a coffee shop and I sit down and I read through things and I try to read through it as the eyes of my avatar, and just have fun with it and be like, oh, wow, that's not at all what I want to say anymore. And reach out to my copywriter and see about making some changes.
Yes. And, in my organization, besides having you look, and you're in our team meetings, so you understand the direction my business is always going in. But I also have my client services manager look at my website and like, rather than me trying to pretend I'm my avatar, my ideal client, looking objectively, sometimes I have trouble doing that. But if I have a third person do that, it helps. Like, this doesn't represent you anymore, Nancy, or this doesn't feel like you. Okay, why? And that's like the beginning of some changes that we can make.
Absolutely.
Okay, yeah. Love it. All right, what's number 3, Robin?
Number 3 is to test the forms on your website. Chances are you have a contact form And you may also have a form for people to sign up for your newsletter or for your lead magnet or freebie. And if you do, you should head on over to those forms and give them a test run. Fill each of them out and check that they work properly. So for your contact form, you want to make sure that the form submission is delivered to you so that you can respond to it. You'll want to check any automatic redirects afterwards. So if it automatically brings people to your calendar after they fill it out, or to another page, you want to make sure that you're redirected properly, just to make sure everything is running smoothly, that there's no glitches. For your newsletter or your lead magnet sign up forms, you'll want to check that you're actually added into your email marketing platform and that you're tagged or segmented or grouped properly, correctly, if you have that set up. And then you want to make sure that you actually get the lead magnet, that's delivered to you, that you actually receive the newsletter the next time it's sent out, and that any welcome or nurture sequence that you have set up is actually coming into your inbox as well. And testing these forms on a regular basis is going to ensure that your website visitors, who are your potential clients, are actually having a great user experience because you know that everything's working properly.
Yeah, it's the worst when you get like, I clicked the button and I can't get through. You're like, what do you mean? So Robin, talk about, because I know some of the reasons because I've worked with Teresa so long, but what are some of the reasons why their buttons suddenly wouldn't work or a form wouldn't work or they didn't get the email? People think, again, set it up and leave it, but it's not the way it is with a website. It is a living, breathing part of your business that has to be updated and checked regularly. So why would a form that worked 3 months ago suddenly not be working?
It's technology, and it's not just one piece of technology, for example. So this is your form plugin if you're using WordPress, for example, which is the platform that Teresa and I most specialize in. If you're not updating your plugins and your theme and WordPress on a regular basis, things can break and there can be conflicts and they can stop working. There could have been a security breach on your website that was affecting that form that you don't know about potentially if you don't have somebody maintaining your website for you. If you're redirecting to a calendar system, we now have that technology where there can be a problem. We've got your email technology because the form needs to deliver an email submission to you. So there's so many different things that can break, have a conflict, have a little glitch or something, which is why I actually, for my maintenance clients, test their forms on a quarterly basis to make sure that they're working properly because you just never know.
Yeah. So what I hear is there's a lot of technology and a lot of different systems that feed into your website. And every time any of those companies make an update, it could make something go wonky in your website, in your world. And without testing it, you're never going to know. I know there was a form I got from another coach, and every time I did her free whatever, I saw this typo on the form, or what my deliverable had a typo every time. And I was like, I got to tell her, right? I got to tell her there's a typo. And I hope anyone would do that for me because without checking, you may just never notice. And that's going to turn people off if they see something even as simple as that. It's a mistake. It's no big deal. But for some people, they're going to be like, oh yeah, no attention to detail. I'm out.
Yeah.
Exactly. And what if the form submission doesn't come through to you and they think it went through just fine and you never got it? And then you can never respond to them to set up that initial discovery call. I mean, what a horrible first impression that makes.
Oh my God. So true. And happens. Definitely happens. Okay. All right. Thank you for that, Robin. All right. What's the last one? Number 4, Teresa, all yours.
All right, so the last one here is to review the testimonials that you're using on your website. So hopefully you've been asking and you've gotten new testimonials throughout the year, but you want to make sure that you're using the pieces of those testimonials that really reflect, again, where you are today in business and what you want to attract. And you want to try and start looking for some really good juicy testimonials that talk about how great it is to work with you and the experience that you provide. Not just Nancy is awesome, that's great, but you want to get those testimonials that say, in my discovery call with Nancy, I knew she was the right one for me instantly, or things like that. Like you want to pull in those testimonials, those tiny little juicy tidbits that really hammer into what you're trying to convey on your website. And you want to alternate them throughout the website, kind of sprinkle them in like glitter, is what I say. You know, like on your services page, get a testimonial that talks about how great it was to work with you, how efficient you were, how organized you were, how you brought in solutions that nobody imagined, those kind of things.
Well, that I doubled my income or tripled my income, or right in a
Right. I mean, like those are the kind of things that you want to have on a services page that really reflect the power you brought into that customer's life. On your about page, what it was like working directly with you. I felt immediately at home, or I knew Nancy wasn't going to take my crap, or whatever, like whatever the answer is. That's my testimony over you.
Nancy's not going to take my crap.
Well,
That's
she calls me out quick, right? But
she doesn't let me lie to myself.
not at all, which is awesome. And that's exactly what you want in a coach. But utilizing those kind of testimonials, swapping them out, bringing new ones in, and really strategically placing them into the website where people are going to see them when they're looking at who you are, what you do, and how to get in touch with you.
Right. And for an interior designer, it really, you want to think about, what does a client originally call you? Not just, I need you to redo my living room, or I need you to redo my kitchen. You want to hear where their frustration is coming from. Like, I don't have enough time, I want you to handle it, or I didn't work well with the last person I hired, and then try to match testimonials to the pain points that your clients originally come to you for, right? So it can say, this interior designer just did an amazing job being a great listener and delivering exactly what I wanted. Could be a great testimonial as opposed to, I just love my living room.
Exactly. And I would add to that too, about really think about the experience that you provide, because that's one of your unique selling points.
Yeah.
That is what makes you the perfect fit for some people and not the perfect fit for other people. And that's okay, because you want the ones that have that perfect fit. So you provide an experience for them that makes you worth every penny. And that's what they want to hear about.
There's a balance. As you're talking, I'm thinking there's a balance between what I want, what everyone as a business owner wants the public or potential clients to know about you,
Mhm.
but not always feeding it from their perspective, feeding it from your own perspective to really show who you are, in order to do what you just said, which is get the client who wants to work with someone like you. Not just trying to, it's like dating, right? It's like, don't just say the words you think the person wants to hear, because eventually when you turn into yourself, they'll be gone.
Exactly.
Right? So represent yourself appropriately on your website, do your updates this year before the new year starts. And if they need any help, how do they find the two of you? Robin, you go first.
So I am on Instagram, RDW Design Studio, and my website is rdwdesignstudio.com.
And again, like I said in the beginning, I highly recommend Robin, just like I highly recommend Teresa. Teresa, tell them how they find you.
Facebook is always a great place to reach out to me, or my website, webdesignsbyteresa.com.
All right. Thank you, everyone. And I love Betsy's final takeaway. So I'm going to put that on the top. Here's the takeaway.
Mm-hmm.
Be authentic.
Yeah.
Do these 4 things for your website to prepare for 2023. It'll be a relief. I try to explain to people what you're not doing, what you're only talking about doing. I should be. I know I have to. All that does is cause anxiety and your brain to rattle around, and it makes you less productive. If you can just get it done or hire someone to do it, wow, like amazing feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it really is going to set you up to feel like you're much more prepared for 2023. It's a sense of relief, and it supports your confidence as well, because you're like, I've done that. Like, that's some really good energy into my website. I'm ready.
Yes, absolutely. All right, ladies, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Have a great holiday season, everyone. I will see you tomorrow for Thursday Thoughts, and Teresa and I will be live again next month for our website Wednesday. And Robin, thank you for being our guest today. And I hope everybody checks you out on Instagram, as well as Teresa and me, of course, and heeds our advice, because that's what we're here. We're trying to help a ton of people. That's why we do this. Okay. Bye, everyone. See you soon.